Super Stoned Bro here, coming at you with a review of Super Smash Bros. Melee. Yep, Super Smash Bros. Melee, 18-year-old wonder game made by Nintendo, mainly Masahiro Sakurai. And what has happened with Melee over the 18 years since it's existed? Well, a whole lot. Now, at this point, when you look at the game, you can see the game that Sakurai made and the game that the people have turned it into. So, to start, Sakurai's Melee. Sakurai was given the task of creating Melee in about 13 months. I think that Nintendo probably wanted it to be a launch title for the GameCube, but it just needed that extra little bit of polish, so it ended up coming out like a month after the GameCube launched. And, well, this honestly to me may have been a really good thing, because it got every single holdout to buy a GameCube, and people who already had a GameCube were of course going to get Super Smash Bros. Melee. Why would you get Melee? Why would you not buy it? Anyway, like I said, the game was made in 13 months, and during this time, Sakurai described his lifestyle as destructive. He didn't really take any breaks. His weekends were short. Apparently, he took only 2 or 3 days off and even succumbed to exhaustion at one point. But the game that he ended up making has withstood the test of time, and that's no small feat, to be completely honest. It has an immense amount of work put into it, and you can tell when you look at like just the stats of this game. You go from 12 characters in Super Smash Bros. To 26 characters in Melee. 9 stages in Super Smash Bros. To, 29 in Super Smash Bros. Melee? Then you get into the trophies. There are 290 different collectible trophies for you to earn as you play the game, or find, or get out of the lottery, or do events. Speaking of events, there are 51 different event matches that result in different character unlocks, stages, the aforementioned trophies, just tons of stuff to do. You have 3 different single-player modes alongside the event matches. These are the main modes. You got Classic, which is more or less the arcade mode from the original Super Smash Bros. With a randomized set of objectives before you go fight Master Hand. Then you have Adventure Mode, which is an unchanging romp through a bunch of different side-scrolling levels, which again ends with you fighting Master Hand. Then there's All-Star Mode. Once you unlock all of the characters, you're able to go through a gauntlet of all of them, which is honestly a lot of fun. And it is one of the more impressive challenges that the game has to offer, especially because in single-player mode, you can't use the C-Stick, which sucks. You also have the Stadium, which includes the home run contests, the target test, which is different for every character, and multi-man melee, which is 10-man, 100-man, endless, cruel, 10-minute, I think. Basically, what these are is you fighting against wireframes, and the best one is 100-man melee, because it unlocks Falco. Falco's the best character. So, in addition to this wealth of single-player content, there's also a very nice versus mode, obviously. You can have time battle, stocks, coins. You can throw HP into the mix, so it's more like a traditional fighting game in the sense, at least as close as a Smash Brothers game can get to a traditional fighting game. Then you also have special melee, where you can make everybody super fast, everybody's tiny, everybody's giant, everybody's this, everybody's that. In addition to this, there's also the wealth of items that you can choose from that can really mess with gameplay. I mean, have you ever had legendary Pokemon come out of a Pokeball when you need it? Shit's awesome. There's also the soundtrack. The soundtrack of this game it's amazing. It's been one of the soundtracks that I've seen remixed more than any other over the years. The sound effects in the game have been sampled time and time again. The number of options afforded to you within this game is pretty impressive. So, Melee as a game is really solid. It's what you want a sequel to be. It's what you look for in a quality game in general. And because of that, and the draw of it having Nintendo characters, Melee has survived in the competitive scene for 18 years. People who think that this game kind of came out of the middle of nowhere in terms of competition level gameplay are wrong. Melee was cracked open really early into its lifetime. And when I say cracked open, I don't mean that people muddled around in the code to find out frame data. No. I mean that people discovered high-level techniques pretty early on, specifically wave dashing, where you scoot along the ground. It's basically cheating. It's taking advantage of the game's kind of loose physics engine to do some pretty nutty stuff, specifically the friction involved in the physics engine. So what this means is that Melee moves really fast, and is a complete and total spectacle at the competitive level. Everybody knows there's the joke, it's Fox versus Fox, Final Destination, no items, when in reality there are more stages than just Final Destination. In competitive Melee, they only play with 6 of the 29 stages, these 6 stages being Final Destination, Battlefield, Yoshi's Story, Dreamland, Fountain of Dreams, and Pokemon Stadium. Now, a few of these stages seem kind of the same, being Dreamland, Yoshi's Story, and Fountain of Dreams at first glance. But Fountain of Dreams has moving platforms, Yoshi's Story is really small, and Dreamland is giant and has Wispy. Fucking Wispy is the stuff of my nightmares. Fuck you, Wispy. Now, Super Smash Bros. Melee used to be a part of the burgeoning competitive gaming scene alongside Halo back in the day. But it kind of fell out of favor when Brawl came out because that's how things just were with fighting games. And at the time, fighting games were kind of not really doing too good. Now, 2013 is where everything changed for Melee, and it was able to come back into the spotlight. Just because the game had kind of been off to the side didn't mean that the community had faltered at all. They had been continuing to improve, and they'd been continuing to build up their legends, specifically the 5 gods. Armada from Sweden, Mango from California, Hungrybox from Florida, PPMD from North Carolina, and finally, Jason Zimmerman from Cinnamon Sin, New Jersey, also known as Mewtwo King. These guys kind of molded what the game became afterward. They were so fast and so on point all the time that the only people who could challenge them were the other gods. Everybody else was way down here, and they were way up here. No one could touch them. So Melee kind of came back into the spotlight in 2013 when there was an open spot available at the Evolution tournament. Now, this is kind of a funny story. Most people know it, but whatever. Evolution held an open poll on the internet, and they wanted to know what game people wanted to see at Evolution. And Melee got so many votes, they didn't think it was legit. So they set up a charity drive for breast cancer. And Melee, well, Melee went apeshit. Melee raised, fucking Jesus, $94,683 to get into EVO in 2013. Now, it is kind of sad that I did this video right around now because Melee's no longer at Evolution. Yeah, so for Evolution 2019, Melee isn't going to be there. Why? Well, because Mr. Wizard and the people who run the tournament like money. They also like it when developers throw into the pot, which Nintendo does not do with Melee. Nintendo does not contribute to the pot of Melee. Nintendo very rarely has contributed to the pot of Melee, because Nintendo does not like what Melee has become. And honestly, that's not really, like, all that surprising, considering that one of the most, if not the most popular video associated with Melee is Wombo Combo, in which somebody says, "My dick hurts." My dick hurts! Yeah. Nintendo probably isn't going to be a big fan of that, or anybody associated with the scene. When that's one of your defining moments, can you really be surprised if Nintendo isn't super duper on board with what you're doing? Because if I was Nintendo, I wouldn't. I got an image to uphold. Now, even then, the Melee community has got problems with toxicity. Yeah, so there's a lot of hatred levied at their top player because of the way that he plays and the character that he plays. Recently, they had to do basically an international review of ice climbers to ban the technique known as wobbling, which is kind of ironic because the only reason that wobbling was taken off of the ban list was because EVO allowed it. So, and they must have just been like, fuck it. I guess if we're putting in an EVO, we can make a concession. It's not a big deal, whatever. Apparently, it's a huge fucking deal. And I don't like getting wobbled. It fucking sucks. You ever go to your first local and you drive like 45 minutes to get there. You pay like $15 to play some Melee. Round 1, you get wobbled 8 times. It sucks. But I don't think that's really a reason to ban the technique. I will admit that I don't have any place to speak on this, so let's just move on. We're moving on! Now, it's not all bad. In addition to all of this community growth, there's obviously been a necessity to teach people how to play the game. And over the years, teaching tools have become incredibly streamlined. You've got SSBM tutorials on YouTube, one of the most amazing channels when it comes to Melee. Hands down, bar none. They have character breakdowns, whether or not a character is really suited for you, and tutorials in general for everything that you could ever want to do in this game. I'm not even kidding. You go check it out. It's great. They are awesome. In addition to this, there's also training packs. There's the 20XX training pack, which allows you to access the debug menu, turn things on like L cancel flashes, or hitboxes, or vulnerability states. All kinds of stuff. There's the universal controller fix, which is now standard at all tournaments. It makes the variance between controller inputs lessened somewhat, so that there isn't such a thing as the controller lottery anymore. Because without UCF, that controller might be bad, but that controller might be good. In all honesty, even without UCF on, this controller's fucking trash, so know that. Yeah. Now, UCF is a really important addition that had a little bit of struggle getting implemented in a unilateral fashion in the Melee community, but it all came to a head one year when top player of the time, Armada, had to drop out of a tournament because his fucking controller broke and he couldn't find one that could do all the things, so I had to leave! Yeah, it wasn't really too good of a moment. It was pretty bad. People memed on it. The best friends made fun of it. Like, people who don't like Melee were like, oh my god, look at the babies. Look at the babies with their baby game, with their not broken right way controller or whatever the fuck. That's not a good look. So UCF happened. No looking back. Now, the one last thing that I do want to touch on before I give this game a score is a special big shout out to the Uncle Punch mod. The Uncle Punch mod is the thing that will make you better at this game. It shows you all of your arrow windows. It shows you how consistently you're hitting the things that you want to be doing. It shows you how many frames of invincibility you have off your ledge dash. It shows you how quickly you're acting out of your shine if you're playing Fox or Falco. It tells you how badly you missed that tech. It tells you how quickly you're acting out of your shield. It's insane. Now, of course, you do have to have an original copy of the game and a little bit of computer know-how in order to get it to work. I have to be completely honest, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. But Melee as a game is amazing. And Melee as a competitive sport and spectacle is amazing. However, it has one giant problem. And that problem is Fox. It's not any of that buggy shit. It's Fox. Fox is the epitome of poor game balance. In casual play, Fox is busted. In competitive play, Fox is almost unilaterally used in every skill tier. And when I say almost, I mean he is. An overwhelming majority of people in the top 100 players in the world play Fox, either as a main or as a secondary, because he's just that good. Now, of course, because of this, people who are in the know, people who are in the competitive scene are like, oh, well, you know what, I gotta practice. I may as well just beat up on this Fox so I can remember how Fox works when he gets hit. But even then, when you're just trying to learn how to play Melee, the amount of pressure that Fox puts on people is absurd. The number of options that he has out of damn near every single one of his moves is crazy. So it means that one mistake against a player of decent skill, you're getting punished to death. And that's it. Because you are new and you don't know how to DI and you don't know how to do any of the things because you don't have that muscle memory. So, yeah, because of Fox, Melee is a 9 out of 10. It's an amazing game. It's beautiful. It has a great soundtrack. It has great single-player modes, great multiplayer modes, such that you can have an entire competitive scene go on around the game for 18 years and be really healthy almost the entire time. But Fox is just everything wrong with Melee. The most toxic player plays Fox exclusively. If that isn't enough of an indication of how evil Fox is, then I don't know what the fuck is. By the way, fuck Leffen. Hey everyone! Hope that you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content coming on the way. It's about 6 days until the release of Devil May Cry 5, and I'm going to be doing a review of that one as quick as I can. So, hope that you're looking forward to that, and have a great day.